anything or push anything over into the river. And the gentleman is supposed to call me back from the Kansas Water office on Thursday to verify whether that is still a fact or not. Because people think it doesn't look very good, so.
That's all I have.
That's all I have. The only thing I have, I just want to, hopefully the contractors keep their loads covered. I've noticed on some of the streets, there's a lot of shingle debris and nails and lumber sticking up, and 8th Street's getting the lion's share of that out there. I wish they'd police that for themselves, but I hope they keep their loads tarped and covered, because it's, I had to dodge a bunch of lumber with large nails sticking out of it. And somebody might not be as fortunate of it. So I just encourage all the contractors to police themselves and keep their roads cleaned up. And that's what I have. Katie, do you have anything to
Yeah,
respond?
just a couple things. Codification, you'll remember spending so much time going through that. I had sent all those changes to the league. I talked to Nicole, league attorney, today. Of course, they're getting ready for the league conference, so they're very busy. Her and I have a conference call later on this month. I hope to have that in November for approval in December, so that we can finally get that done. That's started in May of 2013. It's been a long process, but every time we do an ordinance, changes it just a little bit. So it's kind of a work in progress, but we're working on that. Other thing is, I've been asked by several folks, no, I'm not resigning as city attorney. I had to resign from Glen Elder and Cocker. I didn't have to, I chose to. It was just too many evening commitments with my kids. So plan to keep Beloit as long as you guys will keep me. So I just wanted to clarify that. I'm certainly not going anywhere, so thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I'm glad you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, a number of things here since the last meeting. We talked a little bit already about the comprehensive plan and things like that. A couple weeks ago, Kansas Farm Bureau had their state attorney out here. Pretty good turnout for that, and had a good discussion of what zoning is and what it isn't, and what comprehensive plans are or whatever. And he did a very good presentation explaining to everybody who was there that night about what the issues were and whatever. And it took a lot of good questions and a lot of really good relevant examples there. So anyway, the planning commission will meet again on October 23rd. I think it's a Thursday at 7 o'clock, and they're going to be reviewing the first draft of the full comprehensive plan at that point. So anyway, we did have a lot of storm damage. We did meet with our insurance agent last week. We had a lot of roof damage, window damage, air conditioning, car damage, whatever. We got hit with it like everybody else did. What it really comes down to is they're reimbursing us for about half of what we lost up front, and then we repair, and then we get reimbursed for the other half, because we do have replacement cost insurance. So we're getting, half and half is the way this is gonna work. So right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna advertise for, right now, the roof. Everybody else has got all the roofers in town busy and whatever. So we're gonna be advertising for all roofs that were damaged. There's quite a number of them in the city here. So we'll be doing that probably at the tail end of this week. And then we're gonna be advertising for the HVAC damage that was done and various other things that we go for. So we're gonna stage this a little bit because, man, we got quite a bit of damage on this whole thing. So anyway, you'll see that advertisement coming up, and we can do the repairs ourselves. The insurance comes in care. We can do repairs, you can contract, have somebody else do it. They really don't care how that goes, just so long as you can document it and show that whatever was done was actually done. Been talking with Kyle Railroad on our K-14 project, Highway 14. They're actually in the process of bidding that project out right now, so not sure when it will actually occur, but they're getting closer to bidding it out right now. So that's the latest word on that. The Ready Committee has been negotiating back and forth with a potential another land sale for the North Campus, and we're going to send a counter office to the company that's actually looking at some land up there on the highway. And like I said, we'll be talking about another K-14 and geometric improvement grant here later on. The elementary school project, we've had to move some electric lines up there. That should be done at the end of this week. We should be wrapping that up. So that'll be moving some of the overhead underground up there, if you remember what that was all about. We have a number, we have a number of expansion projects happening in our town. You probably have noticed, if you've been by up there on 24, that the old Sonic has been actually leveled, and they've started work on that. Casey's will begin doing the same thing. They're looking at the third week of October. They're going to level their Casey's East and rebuild that whole thing there by next year also. So we'll have a new Casey's and a new Sonic here early next year on that. So anyway, lots of construction with all the hail damage and those things going on, which certainly should be keeping contractors busy here in the next year or so, at least on this sort of thing. So anyway, that's all I can think of right now.
Okay, well, thank you.
So,
I just want to, one thing I kind of mind, I mentioned the railroad down there on River Street is the block east of Hersey, there's stop signs now.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
if you haven't noticed those, it's a real surprise when you go flying through. There's stuff.
Dave will remind us.
I have to stop twice all the time. Because I go, you know, if I'm not looking right at it, after 20 years, I drive through it. I can fit it. But I just want, I mean, it's kind of a surprise after all these years.
We'll be watching
There's stop signs. You know, it could be like a toll booth, like, we can pay for those patrol cars. Anyway, I just want to caution the public that there's stop
Does that, or
signs.
does that need to be done by ordinance?
What's that?
That stop sign.
That's railroad.
I think.
Yeah, the railroad actually did that. I mean, that was.
But does that make it legal because the railroad did it? That's what I'm wondering.
They can put as much control over their road as they want.
Yeah, they have more power than you ever imagine.
In the government.
Yeah, actually, they did, yeah. They really did. So, yeah,
Well, I think I've heard from a few people that our law enforcement have given a little bit of grace on that, that they, you know, it just, like I said,
Well,
it's
that's
all
one
of
of
a
the things we
sudden.
had talked about when they came out to visit last year, or earlier this year when they came out and talked to us about the tracks. And
Yeah.
we actually started there at that track and went up down. And they did mention putting up more signs as you go across there.
Well, they've started on that.
Yeah, they started, yeah, kind of that part. The rest of it, yeah, I'm not sure exactly when
I
they're
got smooth signs.
gonna get it. So, okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, very good.
Next thing on our agenda.
I had a
Oh, hello, okay.
power plant
I was
project.
done.
Power plant, yeah, we're actually looking for, some, contractors to bid on the land and get an estimate of exactly what that price would be. So we've got that one from, well, we got actually two from K-Gas themselves, but I wanna see what actually, the contractors actually lay in those pipes. What would they actually, estimate that cost to be?
So we have any kind of a timeline.
I'll hope to have that by the next meeting here. And we also, we have an ongoing rate study for the electric side too, that we should get into here pretty quick.
Anything, I think that's it.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, now, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Any questions or any questions?
I have a question. On Solomon, what?
Where you at?
Oh, I'm on page 6 of 8. Why we continue to have finance charges at the Solomon Valley Vet Hospital if that check can be pre-written to avoid those finance charges, why isn't it being done? Granted, that's only $44, but I've seen some invoices in the past that are due by a certain date, like the 10th of the month, say like for Mabry Ready Mix. They aren't paid, you pay a pretty hefty price for those fees, those finance charges. Why can't a pre-written check be written so that those can be avoided? When somebody answer.
Suppose they could, yeah, I don't know what their finance charge is about here.
Or ask them to remove the finance charges.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
for
looks
late
like
payment,
it's
right?
tied,
It's for late payment.
it's for dog food, it looks like.
That would be for a late payment.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
not sure why
I
we
mean-
could check into that. I mean, I don't know why they would be,
City should never have a finance charge, because there's a way you can take care of that.
Can't you have a question?
So,
Like,
I was wondering, on page, 1 of 8, Bullet Farm Supply. Was that two trailers?
okay, we're down at the bottom.
Mhm.
Bottom.
Okay.
or one divided.
Was that for 2 trailers? Or did we conveniently separate those to 2 departments so we can stay under our signature?
Toward the bottom.
It's to Bullet Farm Supply. Some of it's taken out of water distribution and sewer distribution.
even though they got trailers to haul their skid steers now.
I guess that's what,
I'm guessing it's not all skid steer. I don't know.
no, I don't.
It looks like it's for some pipe too.
Pardon me?
Look at this is
Pipe.
pipe manhole skid steer. I think it's all that,
Whatever they need to haul.
right.
My question has to do more with, is it 1 trailer or 2 trailers? And if it was one purchase,
It's,
why it wasn't bid and brought to the council, because it appears to be over the signature.
I'll have to look up that invoice. It's Jensen,
Okay,
so I'll look
It's
that up.
actually
thank you.
two
Hmm?
trailers.
No, it's just one.
No, I'm sure.
Just
Just
one.
one
And they
trailer.
split the cost between the
Two departments.
Two departments, yeah.
I move that we approve.
I have a motion that Councilman Miller that we approve the consent agenda. Second. Second by Councilman Abel. Any further discussion? No further discussion, Mandy, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Gingler,
Yes.
Abel,
Yes,
Miller,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Latrell,
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Carey. Next item on our agenda is the resolution 2014-18, the Safe Routes to Schools grant. And looks like we have a direct cost associated with the approval of this item is $50,000. Glenn, you have comments on this?
Yeah, as you remember, I think it was back in June, we applied for the Safe Routes to School. And if you remember, that would be connecting actually a couple of schools. We were gonna, as a grant called for building basically a sidewalk along 7th Street. We decided 8th Street was too complicated to do that. I don't know how much of that you remember from the grant application that we did. It was brought to us by the folks on the AWARE committee, have been working on that for a while. And I don't know if you've ever applied for a Safe Routes to School grant in the past. But this year, there are 11 applications, and they're gonna fund 4 of them. They came out their team came out to visit once they got our application, as they always do. And you remember in the grant, we had in-kind labor as our match. There was no cash match on that. They came out and said, we like the project, like what you're doing, whatever, but you cannot have in-kind as your match. And we didn't know that when we applied for that back in June, so they said we have to actually have a cash match on this rather than having your own, because we figured we would do a lot of the work ourselves on that, whatever. So anyway, this resolution would commit actual cash to if we were to be funded on it. Yes.
So are they going to make us resubmit an application?
No.
Or are they going to
Just this
allow us just to
resolution.
change the
Right.
application?
Change it to the cash match, and actually, all they need is this resolution to make sure that we would have our,
And did we have a large carryover in that fund? next year, because the revenue expenditure difference isn't $50,000 right now, and we still have a lot of project to pay for.
Right, and, well, and this would be coming, I believe, next year as far as,
Can we use any of the CIP money for this?
yeah, that would actually be.
Well, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was what, another question I had was what year is this grant for, and that's for
I
2015.
believe it's 2015, yeah, we're at 14 now, that would have to be next year.
Should be complete next year.
Yeah.
Since we can't do it in
This is
time,
a-
are they gonna furnish the labor?
Well, it would be, yeah, I mean,
Out of the grant
contracts
funds.
as far as that goes.
So we don't have to do any of the work.
Right, I mean, they wouldn't really allow that.
Slick doesn't need it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a sidewalk project, basically, one of it is.
And my understanding is this is a reimbursement program, so we put forth the money, they reimburse. So you actually had need more funding than 50,000 available, then they reimburse.
We have to match
You
everything.
have to have more than, is that
It's a
what?
reimbursement
Yeah.
program.
Yeah, you do the work and they reimburse you.
So we get.
So how much more than $50,000 do we need to have in an account to?
Yeah, I believe the total would be around 250.
That we have to come up with?
We would have to have on hand, we get reimbursed all at the 50,000. Our match
On
is
some of
the
those
50.
grants, it's not all that bad of a deal because we can submit, maybe once a month to get reimbursed and
So we'd have the money
turn around
from-
with.
You just have to
yeah.
show that you have that money on hand. And then once you spend it, then they reimburse you for that. They don't pre-write you a check and put that in the bank and then you draw it.
Yeah.
You can't do it that way. They don't allow that. And most state grants really don't do that way.
Just do the work bill.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens, yeah, but there's a time lag there, between when you submit that work and when they get, so they require you to have that cash on hand, which we should. But our total amount would be a cash match now of that 50,000 versus that labor, that we were gonna put in there, so.
They're gonna do this all next year.
Yeah.
We have to have $250,000 on hand. They will reimburse us $200,000 at their leisure. but-
Well, they're actually pretty good at it, within a month. you should
Okay,
get that.
who's doing the work?
It'll be contract.
We let out bids for contract work.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, there's even some of this.
I'm done.
Yeah, it's very similar to almost really all KDOT's programs, like the K-14 we're talking about, works really the same. It's just this one's for sidewalks versus streets or like that. They run it really kind of the same way.
Some of those sidewalks, they put them on 7th Street, some of those yards have grades in them, will they build retaining walls then?
Yeah, we talked to them about that, yeah, that would be part of the plan on that, yeah. We actually took them out and drove the route and whatever, and the way this would be constructed would actually connect everything around their 7th Street to the grade school up there, and if you go all the way down to the east end, it will connect, we'll go south, and then that way it will connect actually with the St. John's also, if you think of it that way.
And that'll go clear to Western and then start.
Yeah, yeah.
Will it be on the east side or west, or north side or south side?
Well, we talked to them about that, we haven't really decided exactly, and I think it'll actually go back and forth in some places, depending on which is the safest route, and which is probably the least expensive.
I think some of that's gonna go some draw.
Right, yeah. So like I said, we went out, actually got in a bus and we all drove out there and looked down, when we had that discussion as we were driving, are we gonna be on this side of the street or that side of the street, whatever, so, So they got the full tour of what we were doing, and asked a lot of those questions. But the big thing that came out of it is they wouldn't accept it in kind. So they said, what you need to do, if you still wanna pursue this, is pass a resolution, and tell us that you're gonna match, with cash, and then we'll go forward, and you'll be still one of the 11. Like, so they're gonna fund 4 across the state. So,
Is this $250,000 enough to do proposal?
for what we're planning, yes.
Or do we get halfway down, now the money's gone?
Well, it can't, I mean, your project is done at that point, I mean, yeah, it is, that's the total amount that'll be in the project. I mean, that's, because they're, well, you're gonna do the math there, they probably have around $800,000 spread around the state, and they'll chop it into 4 different grants. So they can't give you any more than that. You can do whatever you want at the local level, but they're not gonna give you any
All right.
more. Yeah.
That's what I mean, we planned on this, and
Right.
God, that only does half
Come
of it.
in and- yeah.
Does the city hook for the other half?
Only if you want to continue
Only if we
on
wanna
doing it.
continue,
Yeah,
but I
they're
mean-
not gonna force you to.
Well, I think they does, we run down the sidewalk, well, we ran out of money.
Yeah, you won't know until you actually get the bids back, yeah.
Okay.
You gotta bid it out,
Yeah.
find out.
Right, that's the only way you're gonna find out on that sort of thing, so.
What actual area, and I maybe have to ask Greg, is this sidewalk gonna be? Starting at Western on the one side of Seventh, is that?
Right. What the original proposal was to, we prioritized a number of different routes. The existing sidewalks in Beloit, north and south, exist on a lot of streets, okay? But there's really no connection with the neighborhoods in the west and those north-south streets, or from the area of Poplar to the northwest-south streets that leads to the school. So the priority was to do 7th Street from Western to Poplar, and to do 12th Street from the front door of the elementary school to Poplar. That way we linked all of those north-south streets and had access to that elementary school. The advantage with going all the way to Poplar, it also allows us to link to a south route then to St. John's. And because we used both schools in the proposal, our project area could cover everything within the city limits.
Yeah.
And, you know, the original proposal, as Glenn said, called for the city to put in the sidewalk on 12th Street as the match, as the local match. And they basically said we can't do that, which, you know, as far as the workload for the street crew is probably a good thing that we are able to contract that out. But, yeah, we didn't realize that till we sat down in the other room here last Thursday. So this this change in the resolution was kind of a quick thing that had to be done, and we got the budget page redone and submitted back to KDOT on Friday, and got it on your agenda for tonight. So, as Glenn said, we got almost a 40% chance, and it does start things out on at least the proposals that have been made on the long-range plan. It's a start for that too.
Well, I appreciate all you guys' work too, that sounds pretty involved.
Yeah, it was, and the way they did that, they got the school kids to go out and rate the streets, and so that's
Oh,
what they
yeah.
prioritized the survey when they actually, I don't know if you remember that back in June. So that was kind of a neat thing to do, to get the kids out there to actually rate the streets and tell us what they thought about right from the street level, and you got to hear from the kids, and they got a little bit of experience out there looking at streets and involve them in the project from the get-go. But that was a really nice way to go about that. And of course, the fact that we're linking, I think, 2 schools in the end, I think really makes us, a really good project.
So with these projects, they'll be moving people's sprinkler systems and everything. to make
Yeah,
these-
most likely, we're into something out there, and most likely you're gonna run into somebody's sprinkler out there.
I know in my neighborhood, that area yard, there's quite a few of them.
Yeah, a lot of people have the underground now, so,
Yeah, that's what I figured. It's gonna
I don't think we're not too, we're a couple blocks away from it. so.
I can handle this, like,
You can handle it.
Well, that's
I can
grass low.
skateboard.
Yeah, skateboard. You might get here quicker.
Yeah.
Skateboard. It's a nice night.
Well, I would move that we approve resolution 2014-18.
It's been moved by Councilman Richards that we approve resolution 2014-18 safe routes to school. Second by Councilman Peterson. Is there any further discussion? No further discussion. Mandy, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Richard,
Yes.
Abel,
Yes,
Dingler,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Latrell,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is a closed session for land acquisition. How much time will we need for that?
10 minutes? 10 minutes.
For 10 minutes to include the governing body, City Attorney Cheney, Administrator Rodden, and City Engineers Stuart Porter. Do I have a motion?
Take a 5-minute break before we.
Yeah, we can.
Sure, Rick.
Okay.
Rick's still there.
Do I have a motion by Councilman Richard, second by Councilman Miller?
We're stuck.
Take
We're stuck. Nobody's gonna know how to do that.
We'll take a 5-minute break.
What you doing? We don't have to start the meeting. Now I heard you.
I wanna get it over with, you know?
Yeah, get her done. Everybody's heading to the bathroom.
Have to blame the mayor for that, or you?
Well, that's a bummer.
Get out there in the mirror, Gator.
Little dog walks right through. What's really bad about it is, two people like to call this meeting over, and you want to